Today is Monday, July 15th, 2024. My name is Jamila Watkins. I'm with the City of Detroit Office of Contracting and Procurement, and this is the pre-bid conference for RFP 184878 for CDD blight removal or general supportive services. Let me share my screen to go over my presentation and the RFP document. Can you see my presentation screen? Nick, can you say yes or no, or Eric?
Yes.
Yep, I can
Okay,
see it.
awesome. Thank you very much. I'm going to also open up this. I'm going to start with that. Okay, so here is the first slide of my presentation. Okay, so we have sign in the chat. Yeah, if you could enter into the chat, because we didn't do this last time. If you can enter into the chat, please, your name, your company, and email, that would be great. We're going to go over the RFP documents, the timeline, key response items. Then our representative from the Construction and Demolition Department will go over the project background and description of needs. Then we'll finalize everything with questions and answers. Here's just an overview of the conference call. This call is being recorded. Please state your name and the company or organization you represent when you're unmuted if you do have a question. All bidders are encouraged to ask questions. You may enter them into the chat at any time, and then once we do open up the floor for questions, if you could please just raise your hand first if possible, and then we'll go that way just so it's a little bit more organized. All verbal responses to questions provided today are unofficial until documented in writing as an official response in the supplier portal. Submit any additional questions in the supplier portal, and we will respond to all bidders via the portal, and we'll go over that as well with the key dates. So the project background is here, and Nick will go over this a little bit more, but the Office of Contracting and Procurement, on behalf of the Construction and Demolition Department, requests proposals from qualified respondents to render certain technical or professional services as set forth in this RFP to provide blight removal services. So these are the remaining key dates for this project. Your questions are going to be due this Thursday, July 18th, on or before 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I just want to make a note that there was a little bit of confusion, and that was my error. That initially, although I believe the RFP had the correct date of the 18th. The cover page of Oracle, the supplier portal, said the 16th. So that was going to be like the initial timeline, but we have since updated that. So I sent out an amendment on that today and updated the cover page. So I apologize for any confusion with that. But as of this time, questions are going to be due Thursday, the 18th by 2 p.m. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Um, okay, yeah, regarding the portal and Eastern Standard Time, please make sure your supplier portal is set to Eastern Standard Time. The supplier portal defaults to, I believe, Universal Time, which is different. So make sure your portal is set. We always have an issue with that. So it's very important for questions due, and of course, it's very important for when proposals are due. Once you submit those questions, we're going to publish all the questions and the answers in a document, hopefully by the 23rd, which is Tuesday. So that's our plan. So all questions do have to be forwarded through the supplier portal. And then, like I said, all questions are going to be published along with all answers so everyone can be on the same page. Proposals are due Tuesday, August 6th. 2024 by 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course, in the supplier portal. And I just want to encourage you, because typically there are issues, try to submit your proposal earlier than the last minute in case you have any problems submitting. I can assist you or I can get you some assistance because if you are attempting to submit that right at the last minute and you don't make it, I can't promise that your proposal will be accepted. So just try to submit it earlier than, rather than later. And then, of course, once the proposals are evaluated and we select contractors to award, um, the work schedule, it's pending based on approval from City Council. So all contracts have to go through several levels of approval and finally must be approved by City Council. And then even after you're approved by City Council, you still have to wait until you receive a PO before you can begin work. Key required proposal content and format. Nick is going to go over these items in more detail, but please make sure you're going through all of these items, making sure your letter contains the required information, your letter of transmittal, making sure you complete all documents thoroughly. Um, Attachment G is on here, the model professional services contract. You don't necessarily need to complete and return that, but you do need to look at it because it contains your insurance requirements. So please keep that in mind. Key response items are also listed here. So all of these attachments are included in the RFP. And I've highlighted the ones in red that you will need to complete and return to us. Everything else is for your reference, for your information. Some of them might need, yeah, most of them are for your reference. So please look at those. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague from the Construction and Demolition Department, Nick Payne.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining. My name is Nick Payne. I'm Planning and Strategy Manager with the Construction Demolition Department. As Jamila outlined, we are requesting proposals from qualified firms to assist with blight removal efforts through minor construction, debris-related removal or relocation, or other generally requested services. The minimum qualifications for this RFP is you must provide 3 years of experience providing similar services of a similar scope and size, 5 professional references of your previous experience performed within the last 5 years of the RFP date. The evaluation criteria for this RFP will be 30 points will be awarded based on your previous experience and references. 20 points will be awarded based on the scope of services offered, which we'll touch a little bit more on later on. 10 points will be awarded based on the capacity your company demonstrates in your proposal, and 5 points will be awarded based on price. The contract length for the contracts issued off this RFP will be 3 years. The number of awards, we're seeking to make 4 awards as the result of this RFP. However, we do reserve the right to award as many or as few as we determine following the review of the proposals submitted. So as Jamila stated, the RFP is kind of divided into 2 sections. Exhibits, which are meant to serve as kind of informational for your review as you put together your proposals, and attachments, which are documents we do expect to be completed and returned or attached to your proposal. So real quick, just kind of wanted to summarize the exhibits. We included roughly 8 sample scope of services of scopes we've used in previous general supportive services requests for your review. I did want to mention that these are just sample scope of services, and we do reserve the right and will modify the scope of services as we seem fit. As we post a general supportive service quick quote, we will release a specific scope of service tailored to the services we are requesting. Real quick, Exhibit A is kind of the overall general supportive services scope. And under Section 3, it outlines the type of services we may be requesting under this RFP. That includes, but is not limited to, debris removal, debris relocation, structural securing, the installation and maintenance of safety barriers, structural stabilizations, general construction, assistance gaining access to a property, tire removal, backfill, grading, dirt or soil relocation, seeding and strawing lots, property inspections, removal of graffiti, removal of wild animals, removal of domestic animals, pest removal, or other services. So as you can pretty much tell, this is kind of a catch-all contract for all the various issues that arise in the field across all of our projects, from construction to demolition to stabilization. So really, we're just kind of looking for qualified vendors who, at a short notice, can go out and provide these services, so we can continue forward with our project. All right, moving on to the attachments. Attachment A is resumes or CVs for all members of your leadership team. And I'll just share my screen real quick. For every member that your company determines to be a part of your leadership team, this can include presidents, vice presidents, controllers, safety officers, project managers, etc. Please provide a current resume or CV that describes their title, work history, professional licenses, education or training, and any other relevant information to that individual. Attachment B1 is our request for an org chart. Please provide kind of a general organizational chart of your company and how you are structured. In this section, you don't necessarily need to outline every employee's name in each box, but rather you can provide kind of counts based on title. And we do give kind of a brief example in the RFP documents. You could say you have 4 supervisors. Under that supervisor, you could have 12 technicians, and under that technician, you have 12 apprentices. So really, we're just kind of looking for overall counts and titles on a high-level org chart for your company. Attachment B2 is the staff roster. This is the section where we will be requesting the name of the staff members that you would plan to utilize under this RFP. And it's important to note that this can include your field staff, people in the field who would be doing the work, as well as office staff who may be doing more administrative tasks such as invoicing, uploading your documents into Salesforce and Oracle, or any other tasks that may be assigned under this RFP. Under this section, for each staff member, please provide their job or title, their years of relevant experience, any accreditations, licenses, or certifications they may have, and Detroit residency information. Attachment C, as we noted in the minimum qualifications, is where you can populate your 5 references. For each reference, please provide your client's name, the service dates, the service amounts, a brief summary of the services provided, where you provided the services, and if you received any citations or violations while performing those services. Attachment D, services offered. This is one of the evaluation criteria, and we did kind of want to leave it open for your companies to populate it to the extent possible, or to the best extent possible. But please provide a comprehensive summary of all the services your company is qualified to offer directly or through a subcontractor. These services may include, but are not limited to, debris removal and disposal, fence installation, backfill and grading services, landscaping services, sidewalk replacement, trash out, clear board ups, tire removal, tuck pointing, water pump outs, or any other additional services that your company may offer under this RFP. Moving on to attachment E, this will be your fee schedule and how we evaluate price. For each of the following categories, whether it's an administrative staff member, a project manager, a supervisor, or a laborer, please provide their standard and overtime rates. In addition, please provide your markup percentage on subcontracted services, along with any whether it's a flat fee or a percentage, your markup on any parts, supplies, or equipment, if we do order any of those through this contract. Another important part to note, there are 4 tabs at the bottom of the screen. Tab 1 is for year 1 of the contract, tab 2 is year 2, and tab 3 would be year 3 of the contract. Please make sure you populate each of the 3 tabs associated with each year, even if they stay the same. We just want to make sure all the fields are populated. We do allow for rows 12 and below additional rows for any other categories of staff members that you may have that you want to add to your fee schedule as well. The 4 provided are mandatory, but they're also kind of summary fields. So if you have more specific or tailored crew members or labor rates that you need to add, please include them below. And finally, attachment F is our general affidavit that we require all of our respondents to complete and return, basically saying you're a qualified member of your company to submit this bid and that you understand the services you are bidding on. And finally, real quick, I kind of wanted to go over, it kind of goes back to the exhibits, but how this work will be issued. For the most part, this work will be assigned under what we call quick quotes in Salesforce. We will post kind of a brief summary, a scope of work, and a price sheet, and we'll post it out to all, whether it's 4, more or less, all the vendors who are assigned work under this RFP. And they will complete a brief price sheet and any other additional documents we request and submit them back for the purpose of a brief evaluation. Attached is a brief example of a debris removal quick quote we did at 13445 Manning. Essentially, it'll provide the brief description, that this material was illegally dumped in the backyard and that we are requesting that all material be disposed of at a type 2 landfill. And then we included the term of performance. We would give the vendor 14 days to complete this. And then we provided a few photos of the debris that was dumped in the backyard. So the awarded vendors would review this document and they would submit, this is kind of a generic example, a price sheet of your lump sum costs associated with completing the debris removal work. And your bids will be evaluated and awards will be made off of the reasonableness of the awarded vendor's price sheet, work plans and schedules, their current and pending assignments, and available contract authority. We do not guarantee any specific work for any awarded vendors under this contract, and all work assigned will be posted on kind of an as-needed basis as it comes up. And with that, I know I just kind of dumped a lot on everyone. I'm going to pause and open up for questions.
Becky Hutchins.
Nope, you're on mute.
When you're putting out your pricing on these, you're not asking for a disposal fee?
We may.
You're just asking for labor rates?
Well, the disposal fees and everything would be on the price sheet at the time of the quick quote. As every project will vary significantly in scale, scope, and size, we can't exactly make a uniform price sheet at the time of the RFP. So we're primarily collecting the labor rates for the purpose of price.
So you can put in your disposal fees in your quick quote?
Correct. We will be posting specific price sheets for each specific service at the time of the quick quote, if that makes sense. So if it's a project that involves disposal, we would add kind of a disposal line item fee on the price sheet, but other projects won't require that. So
Okay, and in your example, you had noted that it was non-ACM debris. Is there testing available on that debris?
it'll depend. It'll vary depending on the circumstance.
Okay.
Blake, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, how you doing, Nick?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. So obviously, as you mentioned, everything under the sun is included and what might be requested of us in a quick quote. There may be certain things that you listed on there that are not offered by our company. Is that a situation where we just simply reply back that that's not a service that we're able to offer?
Yes, participation on every quick quote is not necessarily mandatory. Obviously, participation is encouraged.
Sure.
But that'll be evaluated and taken into consideration when reviewing the services offered portion
Sure.
of everyone's proposal of what
Is-
people are, what the contractors are capable of performing at the time of bid.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I see a hand raise, and my apologies. It's either Simeon, I believe.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is it a net 30, net 7? What is the pay system that you're using?
That has not been determined yet. That'll be determined at the time of issuing your purchase order if you're awarded work under this contract.
Okay.
In the example scope of services, it formatted like you have to take before and after pictures. And so are there individual case files going to be opened in Salesforce for this, or?
Yes, so there is a quick quote function built into Salesforce, and its layout, I can speak to you, you're familiar with kind of Salesforce and the structure of cases. It is similar to that, where you'll have a cloud file section where you can upload your pictures. You'll have a pre-invoice review section where you can submit your pre-invoice reviews. And you'll have work start date, work end date fields that you'll populate as you complete projects. So each project will essentially have its own case overall in Salesforce.
Are these going to be bundled together? Like you would have several sites together that have to be cleaned or backfilled or whatever?
Not necessarily. If we had 3 or 4 come up at the same time that we wanted to put out together, we could, or they may go out on a case-by-case basis as they come up. I'd say traditionally, though, usually they're posted when we run into a specific issue at one specific property is historically how they get assigned.
Sorry, I'm just going to keep asking questions.
Oh, please.
In the backfill example, it appeared to be a commercial site, and they were requesting general fill, not 21 AA. And I guess and it said the permitting was on the contractor. I guess I don't understand how a demo permit would get closed out without an open hole and final inspection. Like you'd have to pull a whole other permit.
Again, those are just sample scopes. At the time of an actual assignment, those conditions may change or vary. My guess is if you were taking over a backfill for previously completed demolition, I would guess more likely than not, we would work in advance to have the permit transferred to you in advance of completing the work.
Okay.
And at the time of the quick quote, it would specify whether we're backfilling with, like you said, soil or 21 AA or whatever the approved source we're requesting would be. I see 2 hand raised. I think I saw Simeon first and then Dominic, so we'll go Simeon.
How would you handle deviations from your specs where the work might be more extensive or beyond the scope that was originally placed in the quick quote?
We would hope that we keep deviations to a minimum, but you would in advance notify us of what you are experiencing in the field, and we'd have to either repost the quick quote and put it out again with the modified scope of service, or that's probably the main outcome.
So then a repost would involve a rebidding?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
But that's not necessarily guaranteed. As mentioned, these are as needed general contracts. So we kind of reserve the right to modify or change the scope or the services requested kind of at our discretion.
Okay.
Dominic?
Hey, how are you? Hey, could you tell us what companies were awarded this contract in the past and how the overall experience was with that?
Let me ask, OCP, am I allowed to share that or no?
I'm sorry, I was doing correspondence. Okay, what was that question again, please?
Can you tell us what previous companies were awarded the contract in the past and how the overall experience was, what they did
Oh,
good, what they
no.
can improve on?
I don't think I can do that in this meeting. I think you would have to submit a FOIA request for that information. And then especially you want comments on their performance. OCP definitely wouldn't be able to speak to that. And I don't know if that's something that the department can share either.
No.
But as far as in terms of who the previous contractors were, I do believe you would have to submit a Freedom of Information Act request for that, and I'm gonna just verify that with my manager. Hopefully I can get an answer to you momentarily, okay?
That would be correct. So the information that you provided is correct.
Thank you, Eric. That was my manager. So yep, if you want that information regarding previous contractors, that you can get. Performance you cannot get. That's not something that will be shared. It's still hands up unless you meant to lower your hand. So Simeon, do you still have a question?
Looks like he just lowered it. Dominic, do you still
Okay.
have a question? Nope, they just lowered their hands too.
Okay.
Look like there's a question from Ashley from Gray's Outdoor Services.
You see that in the chat, Nick? Oh, I think that's in the RFP. Aren't permit fees the responsibility of the contractor?
To answer your question, likely not, no. But again, these are as needed contracts and the scopes and requirements will vary and will not be known until the time of posting. Simeon?
The deadline for the questions on the RFP, is that still the 18th of this month?
So far, yes. If we get enough requests to extend that, then it's possible that we will extend it. But at this time, it's this Thursday, the 18th by 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So just send an email to request to extend it?
You can send a request through the portal and do not send an email directly to me. Send it through the supplier portal.
Okay.
And
That should be the general.
again, like I said, it will have to be a significant amount of requests. And it's going to be up to OCP and CDD. Okay, but definitely send a request.
That email is on the cover page then?
You should actually be able to access the supplier portal, the messaging portion, are you registered as a supplier?
Yes.
Okay, so if you go through the negotiation, there's a link
Uh-huh.
there somewhere to submit messages, and that's where you would submit your
Okay.
question or your request.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Are there any other questions? Okay, well, again, of course, if you happen to think of something after we get off of this call, definitely submit that question through the portal. And I've already put, I don't think anybody needed assistance, but I'm gonna copy again, the contact information for our e-procurement team in here in case anyone does need assistance with navigating the supplier portal or with even getting registered as a supplier or even updating your contacts. That's another point I have to make too. As far as communication on this negotiation, buyers are really, there's a reason we don't put our emails and phone numbers because we're really supposed to communicate through the supplier portal in order to keep more transparency. Okay. And so that's why we have that rule. However, it's up to you to make sure that the people that are at your organization that they're getting those emails and whatnot, that you have to update your contacts. You need to update your contacts in the supplier portal. And if you need assistance with that, we need you to reach out to our e-procurement team whose contact information I've placed there in the chat. Will this be put out for bid like you do emergency bidding? Nick, that one's for you.
Yeah, it'll be slightly different. It'll be similar in terms of the postings won't be posted very long. And they will be requesting kind of abbreviated pricing and other information. However, the quick quotes will go out directly through Salesforce instead of Oracle. So that'll be a main deviation from the emergency process. The other difference is the emergencies are RFQs, request for quotes. So they're evaluated and awarded solely based on price. These we reserve the right to award at our sole discretion. So there is no evaluation criteria or item specific that dictate how we make awards.
Simeon?
I'm looking at the portal right now, and I'm not well versed in Oracle, so I'm trying to see how to send the questions on the negotiation.
Yeah, so
And
please reach procurement team because
can
I
you?
do not have your vantage point. Yep, I'll put it in the chat again. So
Okay.
that email address is procurementinthecloud@detroitmi.gov, but I will paste that again.
So any one of the folks that offer the tutorials can assist with submitting those questions.
Yes, the e-procurement team can assist you with submitting those questions. Yes, they can.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay, well, if that is all, I want to thank everyone for your attendance and participation. And we look forward to working with you. We look forward to receiving your questions and your proposals. And have a great afternoon and a great rest of your week, okay? And this pre-bid is going to be published in case anyone needs to listen back, okay?
Thanks,
Thank you
Jamila.
all.
Where those
Thank you,
going to
Eric.
post it?
Have a good day.
It'll be sent out. It'll be sent out to everyone on the negotiation. So you'll receive it in email, okay?
Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
I'm not sure I'm registered.
Thank you.
You're okay. So reach out to e-procurement. They're going to make sure that you get that. As a matter of fact, Simeon, did you put your company name in the chat?
I
Because I
did
can
not.
look into that for you. What, can you do that for me
Okay,
right quick? Is that possible?
right now.
Okay. And I'm gonna check your I'll check the status of your profile. And if it's not completed or entered, I'll make sure I put you in touch with the right people to get that finalized, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. I'm just looking, I'm waiting for you here.
Okay. Seems a little bit slow.
That's okay. It might be. What's the name of your company? Just tell me.
PureServe, PURSERVE.
ERV. Pure Serve. Okay. And then what is
Yes, without the E.
what's your email, please?
The name
Mm-hmm.
plus PureServe LLC
Mm-hmm.
at yahoo.com.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's simple enough.
Yes.
All right. I will look into it and I'll be in touch, okay? I'm gonna
Thank you
look
so
at this
much.
right now. You're welcome. Have a good one.
Okay. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.